So much has changed in the WWE with the roster, divisions, champions, PLE schedule, and a whole lot more. So if you want an updated universe mode setup, then let's go ahead and hop right into it. Let's take a look at Raw and SmackDown first. The setup for Raw and SmackDown will be the same. It's going to be a 6-match card. You're pretty much guaranteed at least 5 matches out of the 6, with potential for 1 promo, maybe even 2 occasionally. And then for the custom match table, I have it set up for your typical 1v1s, 2v2 tags, triple threats, fatal 4-ways, possible 1v1 championship matches, along with a 6 superstar tag team, which you see a decent bit, Extreme Rules matches occasionally, and a pretty common backstage brawl. Nothing here for the main event, nothing here for the rivalries, 1v1, 2v2. Just like this is a setup for both Raw and SmackDown, as it's pretty much the same for both brands. We're going to go ahead over to the calendar setup now, as the second week of May we have Backlash on that Saturday. IRL is 5 matches, of course, but the lowest you can have in-game is 6. Custom match table, I built this off of the last 3 Backlashes to have a pretty realistic match card. Nothing for the main event, and then nothing for the rivalries either. Then you end your month now at Saturday night's main event. I'm going to go ahead and edit this, as it's going to be 6 matches, because once again, you can't have 4 or even 5, whatever it is IRL. And this is the match table. It's pretty bland, but IRL, it is pretty bland. So that's what's going to be. And the one difference to real life is, in real life, Clash in Paris is the last Sunday of May, but IRL, there's 5 weekends in May, based off the calendar, but in-game you can only have 4. So just to space things out a little bit, and I have a bunch of stuff throughout all of May with only 1-week build-ups, I decided to put it in the month of June. 6 matches, and then a custom match deal based off the last 3 Clash PLEs. And then nothing for main event or rivalries here. Then you end your month with Night of Champions. So there's 2 ways to do King, Queen of the Ring for this. This is the setup I have, 6 matches, custom match table, and then you have to manually do your King, Queen of the Ring tournaments throughout the weeks of Raw and SmackDown, and then manually put the championship into the match card on the night of Night of Champions. Another way to do it is not do Night of Champions, but instead do King, Queen of the Ring as the PLE here, and then you do the entire tournament in that one night, but it's unrealistic, and I don't really love doing that, so this is the way that I choose to do it. Over to July now. So last year, this is what it was. There's nothing confirmed for July this year. So for that reason, I'm going to keep it as the same as what it was. Evolution is the female-only PLE, and Saturday night's main event will be male-only. So the one change you want to make to this one compared to the last one is the gender should be male for every single match. So that way, it'll be a male-only PLE, basically. That way, when you have your Evolution PLE, which is the female one, custom match table, you have it set to female, so it's only going to be females in there for this Evolution PLE. A bunch of different matches, realistic to last year, but also I added in a False Count Anywhere, just to have a bunch of matches you could potentially have to really show off your full female roster. And then for the main event, I let it be the base for this. You could get rid of it if you want, but it also adds potential for more match types, specifically for the main event. And then one thing you can do is, if you run NXT, add it to the host shows, and then make your number of matches 7. Personally, for me, I don't run NXT, so I left it as 6 for the matches and kept NXT off. Over to August, you have SummerSlam, only PLE of this month. Number of matches is 6, that way you get 6 on the first night and then 6 on the second night for 12 total. The custom match table is pretty realistic to real life in the past few SummerSlams, but I did add a couple of different match types just to really spice things up and keep things, a little bit different year to year, along with giving it that big SummerSlam A-level PLE feel. Nothing for the main event, nothing for rival reactions, as any match that ends up happening from here can get that, main event slot. Heading over now to September, Money in the Bank. I know, shocker, some of you might not realize it by now. Money in the Bank is actually in September after SummerSlam this year. Kind of crazy. 6 matches, and I didn't change the match table because with these special matches like Money in the Bank, if you change the match table, sometimes you'll get glitches where it deletes Money in the Bank from happening, or you only get 1 Money in the Bank match, not 2, and it causes too much chaos, so I'm not even going to risk it. And the match table is fine when you get to it, so you don't really need to change anything with it, so I keep it as the default. Then you end September with WrestlePalooza. 6 matches for this PLE with the custom match table, built off of last year, but I did add a last man standing match, and I might have added an Extreme Rules match as well, I can't really remember. Just to make it, feel a bit bigger, because last year when it was for the first time, WrestlePalooza, it had the big matches for the name value, but the match types were pretty, standard. So I wanted to add a couple, or at least 1 last man standing match to make it really a bit different, make it a PLE level stipulation as a possibility. Then over October, you have Crown Jewel, which is going to be, once again, a 6-match PLE. I kept it as default. You can change this however you want. But, IRL, you have the Crown Jewel Championship, which is not in the game. Surprised. So because of that, I just left that as the default. It seemed fine overall. You get a lot of stipulations, get some fun stuff in there. Because Crown Jewel is a big PLE typically, because it's almost always, a Saudi show, and they pay a lot of money for that, yada, 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 whatever. But you can manually put in your own Crown Jewel Championship matches. That way, there's not a lot of stipulations that actually occur, like from the match table, to make it realistic on that end, or you just have to be a crazy, default PLE as is in base game. That's really up to you. Then in November, you have Survivor Series, and then same with what I did for Money in the Bank. I left it as the default 6 matches because, if you change things up, just like the Money in the Bank, you can possibly get some issues with War Games matches not loading correctly, where you're not getting them in the match table correctly scheduled. So you might end up with only one War Games match, or maybe even none overall, so I don't want to really risk that. So I'm going to keep it as is on the default. Nothing in December. You could add a Saturday Night's main event, but because there is one in January, I chose not to do it and only have 3 per calendar year. And it's going to be the same as the first one, where any gender is on it, and then the same match table as the first one that I showed. Then 1 week later, you have the Royal Rumble, which same reasons as Money in the Bank and Survivor Series. I didn't change the match table and have it 6 matches total for the Rumble. Elimination Chamber is the same as well, where I didn't change the match table, didn't want to risk anything not being scheduled correctly in the match tables or anything like that. And 6 matches total. March, you have nothing. And then you have April, WrestleMania, of course. I keep it as 6 matches, so it's 12 total. But you could make it 7 or even 8 and have 14 or 16 matches total if you have a really big roster. Custom match table, this is what I chose. You've had Hell in a Cell matches, you've had Extreme Rules matches, Last Man Standings, a lot of stuff in the past few years. Really put whatever you want for this to keep it fun. It's really up to you. There's nothing great because it's always changing year to year, so you can't really keep it 100% realistic. And I chose this more so to make it fun for me. So I went with this, the match table. Keep some mix of realism along with some more of a fun factor with how I chose all these match types. Next up is the rosters for Raw and SmackDown. So you might have some differences on what I have here. I went based off of all the changes that we have right now. People like Berto and Angel might not actually be on Raw. They came over looking for an opportunity and had that one-off 1v2 match against Obafemi. But outside of that, maybe keep them on SmackDown. But besides that, AJ Lee, someone I kept off the Raw roster, she'll most likely be, back for SummerSlam, in my opinion. But I still decided to keep her off of Raw because it didn't really make much sense, in my opinion, to go ahead and keep her on here. She's not going to be here in the short term. Now looking at SmackDown, this is the roster I have for SmackDown. There's some different things you can choose here, like Bianca Belair, who had just passed. She's still injured. No clue when she's going to be back. But the SmackDown Women's Division is pretty limited still, even after the changes to the rosters. So I keep her on just for my own fun. And outside of that, Jacob Fatu has been both on Raw and SmackDown. I think after Clash in Italy, that he will be fully on Raw. So I decided to keep him off of the SmackDown roster. And overall, that's what I have for the Raw and SmackDown rosters. Once again, I don't do NXT. I know some people ask for it. My bad. It's just not my thing, and I don't keep up with it. So this is what I have for Raw and SmackDown. Make sure you have an updated roster. And to get the correct teams, this is what I have for my setup. If you don't have these teams set up correctly, then you're not going to be able to assign some of the tag team champions like Brie and Paige. You won't be able to make them the women's tag team champions. Same with Priest and R-Truth. If you don't have it set up correctly, then they're not going to be allowed to be chosen for the tag team championships. So you want to go ahead and set these teams before you go ahead and set your champions and divisions. And that's a quick run through. There's not too many teams now, especially after the latest releases. Take a look at the championships now. On Raw, you have Roman Reigns as the world champion, Penta as the IC champion, Division as the tag team champs, Liv Morgan as the women's world champion, Brie and Paige as women's tag champs, and Becky Lynch as the women's IC champion. So now over on SmackDown, for your championship, Cody Rhodes currently as the WWE champion, Trick as the US champion, Priest and Truth as the tag team champs, Rhea Ripley is currently your women's WWE champion, and then you have Tiffany Stratton as the US champion on the women's side. And now let's take a look at the divisions for both Raw and SmackDown. This is the world title division that I have. A lot of names here, a lot of big names. Obafemi and Brock really aren't competing for right now as they're in that little rivalry, but I have them there anyway in case you want them. Then over on the IC title side, a lot of names. Some of them don't even fit in this category, but if you don't put a superstar into a division, they'll just never get really used at all. So that's why you have names like Grayson Waller, JD McDonough, Chad Gable, El Grande Americano, even though they're really never going to get that chance, at least in the short term or probably even the long term, just so they get added on the match card. I have them in here. over the tag title scene, Raw is popping a lot of tag teams in here, even though the Warriors haven't been used a lot lately, nor is LWO, and the Creed's obviously now in the whole AAA El Grande Americano thing. But still a lot of tag teams, 7 challengers to your tag team champions. Then on the women's side for the World Championship, you have Sky, Stephanie, Nikki, and Naomi. I keep her on Raw, even though she's probably going to be out for at least until SummerSlam, if not a little longer. Women's tag team side, once again, not a lot of tag teams. Bayley and Lyra, and then obviously Judgment Day. And then for the IC title, it's almost vacant as well. With how many contenders? There's very few of them. Sol Ruka, Ivy Nile, Maxine Dupree. And that's it for your Raw divisions. Now over to the SmackDown divisions. Not a lot of superstars over here for the WWE title. You have Gunther, Randy Orton, who's currently hurt. Drew McIntyre is probably set to come back, and he honestly could come back on a Raw. Who knows? And then Royce Keys, I threw him in here just to add another name into the picture. And then a lot of people for the US title, a lot of new names as well. Ricky Saints up there. And then just a lot of people. You could add the Miz and Kit Wilson as a tag team. I choose not to. You had the one-off tag team, at Backlash. But overall, I don't see them really being an actual tag team. More of just that, relationship and being like managers for each other. And the tag team, because it is limited once again, Miz and Kit Wilson could be a possible option. Besides the MFTs and then Fraxium. Women's side, Jade Cargill, JC Jane, Bianca Belair, and Jordan Grace. And then for the women's tag teams, you have Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair, Flash and Nia, BFAT Michin, Fallon Henry, and Laney Reed. And then for the women's US title, Julia, Chelsea Green, Count James, Blake Monroe, and Candice LeRae. That sets up your SmackDown divisions perfectly to real life.